So we'll get into that a little bit later. So that was one issue. The second issue was the shade sales. The Harbor Commission, some of the members did say, yes, we need shade, but the shade sales last year were noisy, and partly that was due to the way they were installed. They weren't installed properly, or say because of the water issue. We all know that, the high table. So what they said, it probably still would be noisy even if it was installed or secured better. But we're going to try giving it one more shot this year with the shade sails, try to install them, secure them a little bit better. And hopefully if they're still noisy or still have some problems, then we'll just scrap the idea for the next year. And the third one was really about funding. We kind of talked about that. It's really a city council decision on how we're going to break up the funds, but right now they decided that the one extra staff person that will go to help maintain, that will go to Mike Johnson's crew, it'll be about $4,500 to help maintain the Marina Park area. He can also use that for the docks and everything. That money would come out of the waterfront fund. We'll use electric fund for like the light posts that we need to paint, and then the rest would come from the general fund, or any fundraising that we may want to do or need to do. Well, that we don't know yet, but so that's where we're at with the funding area. So the rest of the concept, the plan, the council was really supportive of. Harbor Commission really was generally liked the whole landscaping idea, like, you know, the game idea, the seating, extra concerns about umbrellas, whether, you know, if they're not secured properly, if taken down properly, that they would fly over the place. So just some concerns about that. But in general, we've got the green light to go with this plan. So I think we should transition into the first top agenda item, which is the landscaping plan finalization. So Dana did provide well, that's the specs for but an updated colored version of the new plan. And then she also provided landscape and design specs that we're going to give out to the potential bidders. And so, Dan, if you want to explain a little bit some of the changes they're made and what types of things, and what's make sure council.
Put the colored one back up.
Yeah, I'll put the colored one back up.
Let's see. So we felt it was very important to stick within that $30,000 to $40,000 budget. So let's start with the site furniture. So we thought along the sidewalk by the docks, we originally had 6 benches. So we thought to start, let's just go with 4. And I think that'll be great. I bet you we're going to want more in the future. And the other 4 benches down at the north end of the park by the Bay Street parking lot, those will still be there. So the tree is down already. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but it turns out it's just fine with the tree down. I think it was a good thing to do. Let's see, we also found out through Mike Johnson that there's 1 grill out there right now. There's also 2 Weber grills that are in the Harbor Master building, so we don't need to buy any more grills, I think. And then there was also some concern at Harbor Commission about how much they really get used. So save our money on that. Let's see, we did take out those long curved beds.
Council requested that, yeah.
Yep. And so we left the little corner beds. So just want to reassure everybody that those will be low. So there'll be some just sort of background plantings, like nothing that will be over, let's say, 2.5 feet high. They'll hydrangea and evergreen plants, some butterfly bush, some grasses to tie in with the other grasses. And then the front of those, Dale is going to help us out with a planting plan for some annuals. Which we're going to do, so the posts will be painted as Victor says. I went to the paint store. My favorite dark bronze color is Urbane Bronze from Sherwin-Williams. So I can pass this around. You guys can see what you think. I think some of our other light posts are painted sort of this next one up maybe. So that's another one we could consider. We could consider black too. In my opinion, I don't think we should consider white or green. I feel like we've got a lot of green there already, and white will just disappear. Let's make these snake a little. So I don't know if you want recommendations from the committee on this, Victor. I would feel better maybe if we didn't just let Lucas pick the color.
I think that detail, having Lucas pick the color would be, being that we don't have a parks director.
It might turn out really well, but it might surprise us also. Let's see. Then what else? Oh, so as I was looking at it, when we take out those long beds that were up sort of by the docks, I was worried that we were going to have this visual effect of just a sea of site furniture, a bunch of tables, and then also the input from Some people that, are we starting out with too many tables? So I think we also eliminated a few tables. And maybe we only need one table over by the grilling table. So that was another thing that changed. We're sticking with the 5 umbrellas. And I don't know, Victor, if you were able to find a picture of what Denny had in mind.
The swamps, no, but.
Yeah, we can recreate it if
yeah,
not. So we want to do something really tasteful and really nice and not cheap looking, and something that will be able to be secured to a base so it won't take flight. I think we should talk about color. There was some concern with Harbor Commission, like how do we pick the color for the shade sails? And it was super important because they probably aren't going to be there forever, but this may be where we start wanting to think about like what colors do we want there. Just for my 2 bits, I think it'd be nice to just do like a nice neutral tan color, something like that, rather than getting like too colorful. We already have the really colorful green tables, so I don't know if anybody has any other ideas on that.
White looks like sails.
White, yep, could. I just don't know if they get dirty, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Or would they disappear? Maybe it's nicer to be able to see a little something, just a thought.
I like neutral.
Okay,
For the,
For the umbrellas?
Umbrellas.
Well,
No, I think,
thought we were-
I think a very neutral, tan.
yeah, we're gonna have a lot of color at the front, yes it is.
Well, particularly with the shade sails going up as well. And I think, I agree, the white would probably get dirty. So I think we should stick neutral.
And I don't think we
tan.
wanna go dark, cause then you see all the bird poop on them. So,
Yes, exactly. Good stuff.
yeah, those are my thoughts. If other people have thoughts, they'll chime in. And then I'm sure once we pick the umbrella, there'll maybe be some color choices that we can look at. Let's see, what else changed?
what about the sail color?
The sails are blue and white, I think, right, Victor?
yeah, those have already been purchased, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
last
there
year,
was
we're
some
gonna reuse
questions
those.
like how do you
From
get
last year,
it?
the same ones from?
Same shells.
Okay,
Yeah.
from last year,
Yeah,
got it.
exactly.
And the tables are green, that's right. And the tables are a very bright green.
So I think, oftentimes those 10-foot canopies that might be used for the Harbor Eats area,
Are you
those
having a
often are
connection?
blue. So those are often blue, so maybe we don't want to have just blue everywhere, just something neutral. Let's see, you can see the new location for Harbor Eats, and I think this is just fun. This is kind of a trial and concept to see if there's
Yeah.
people willing to do it, A, and B, do people want to buy food there? And I think that's kind of a
And
no-brainer.
I think we'll get to Harbor Eats. I want to make sure we have preserved time
Yeah,
for
okay,
the discussion.
okay.
Can we talk about, I guess, specifically like the landscaping?
Yeah,
like
so let's see,
hedges
the
and
only
stuff
other
like that?
thing that changed was, let's see, so I think I feel that we should not take down the hedges around the generator over by the gazebo building. I got a closer look at them, and they are just the ugliest things you've ever seen, and they're super tall.
Agreed.
Thank
So
you.
I think I would suggest, Victor, if Lucas wants to just trim a foot off or something like that.
Or more.
One more foot, yeah, so that's a newer hedge, so I think it could tolerate, another,
Okay,
another foot. And
Is everyone okay with that?
It's not like,
woody,
yeah.
no, they're in
It'll
good
fill in.
condition. They are just way too tall. And when, there's a huge difference between the electrical and then the shrubs are so much higher and you can't see the gazebo.
yeah.
So it'd be really nice to have it lower so you could see the gazebo.
Yep, so you can see the gazebo and just,
And
some better
see,
peaks of the,
yeah.
of the water. Then around the 2 big transformers that are over by the grilling area in the Harbor Master Building. So this is my third idea on this now. So the grasses, I came to feel like when we cut them down in the spring, there we are looking at the transformers again for 2 months until they get up to speed. So I don't think that's the right choice. Then I'm like, okay, let's do cedars there. But I don't know if we want cedars everywhere. That's not really what my vision of plantings would be at the park long term. I think I found out we can get 6-foot lilacs, old fashioned lilacs. So I just think that would be nice, soft. We'd have fragrance. They get fall color. They're pretty dense when they fill in. So
Yeah.
all year round we'll have some screening. So I wanted to see what people thought about that.
What about the lilac hybrid that blooms all year? all
That's one of the
summer long?
dwarf ones, so that
Okay.
wouldn't be big enough.
Pardon me?
It's a dwarf one, so it wouldn't be big enough.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
good idea though.
No, I think everyone's pretty,
Yeah.
So,
No,
I like
so I
that.
selected 2 varieties that are resistant to fungus and resistant to this bacterial thing that they get. So both are available at the nursery that downstate that a lot of our guys order from. So hopefully that won't be a problem. And I think that might be about it. Can you think of anything else?
I do have a question.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay,
And something
yeah,
to point out. You've got, you still have the hanging baskets.
Yes.
Is that still a go?
Yep.
Okay,
Is that
so let me, do I have a minute or two that I can talk about hanging baskets?
Sure, this is an opportunity to talk about the
Okay.
plantings, yeah.
So I did a little bit of research. I can put something together, but I wanted to let you know the requirements for these hanging baskets. And if you still think it's a go after we talk about it, then I'll put something together for
Okay.
you and send it to you, and then you can share it however you need to share it. So my suggestion would be, how familiar are people with Wilson's Gardens in
Yeah.
Petoskey?
Yep.
On the way to Charlevoix on the left-hand side. So that's a 5th generation family. The petunia hanging baskets, it's a hybrid petunia. It does not need to be deadheaded. It's hybrid for the flowers just to keep pushing out. However, with any flower basket, regardless of what type of flower you have in it, it needs 1 gallon per hanging basket daily of water, along with a fertilizer every day if it's not raining.
Not the fertilizer every day, but yeah,
Pardon me?
not the fertilizer every day.
Actually, Wilson suggested it. There's nothing keeping that plant, there's no nutrients going to that plant. It's in it's stuck in this plastic basket for, and it's looking for nutrients. It works really hard making this particular hybrid is just a plethora of flowers constantly until the first frost, for the first hard frost, actually. And so you have to be committed to this, just so we understand these beautiful baskets we see hanging in Petoskey on the bridges and at different various places. All the hanging baskets in Charlevoix, they are all connected to irrigation. So this is the reason of their success, is they are all connected to irrigation, and they get this a regular feeding. They have a regular feeding schedule for them. So that would be something that I just wanted you to consider. And then, and to also to follow up on the baskets, you need excellent heavy-duty hardware. Because of the flower basket, where it's hanging, you're constantly going to be battling wind. Wind is going to cause a lot of movement on the basket. It's going to constantly be drying out the basket. And just a heads up, if a flower basket, this is all from Wilson, this is the 5th generation family who handles these hybrids. Once a flower basket dries out, just even partial, the root system is gone. And then you're just going to lose that big, beautiful, constant pushing out of flowers every day. So we'll be disappointment if people look up and see part of the basket dead. Also, so excellent hardware, heavy duty. The basket, there's 2 problems with the basket. This is a discussion from a couple of different people who are very familiar with hanging the large plants. You've got spinning and you've got swaying. Okay, both of them make noise. So there is hardware for each one. Okay, but it's additional hardware to the existing hardware that you need for the pole. So you need a tether, and then you need a toggle type of thing. I have that information. What that does, it stops the basket from totally breaking down, because if a basket goes back and forth, and of course the additional tether stops the basket from moving. So there's a lot of thought to be put into these baskets if you want them to be successful and look beautiful. And if that's something that you're interested in, seriously, because this is going to be something that, I want to take another step back and talk about irrigation. we're not talking about irrigation at this park, and irrigation is all this beautiful work in this beautiful park. Without good irrigation and proper irrigation, our success is going to be compromised. So
We do have irrigation at that park.
I do.
So there needs to
I
be-
do understand that,
okay.
but what I'm talking about is a
So the
revision, some
Yeah.
type of a revision. We
I think,
and
that's
So I
okay.
have a question, because in my understanding from Charlotte, I think they just recently put the irrigation in from their lamp post. And prior to that, they used their little gator truck,
yeah, they had a daily gator truck, and they said it was very laborious
Okay.
and
But we only have 6 posts, I believe, right?
Correct.
So I
Well,
don't think,
if we also count the ones that are up by the Bay Street, there's 2 more up there.
so we have a few posts. I don't think
The
it,
Bay Street too? Okay.
I don't think it's be labor intensive to water those with the extra additional staff that we
Is
have.
that part of your job, Victor? Just
Yes.
get up there and run and water the flowers?
Yes, that's part of the job.
Along with everything else.
You do everything that nobody else can.
Yeah, water plants.
I like water flowers.
So I don't think the extra time is necessarily the issue. I mean, will they look good? Will they make noise? As long as we get the extra attachments, hardware, I'm fine. I'm all good with that. I think we can work on it this year. As far as the irrigation, I don't know if we want to talk about completely changing up irrigation if in 2 years we're gonna have to dig up that place again.
I don't mean changing up, but just
Adding.
like northern Michigan irrigation can come and you can tell them specific needs that you need. And they can, just take care of those particular needs.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
What would need out of everything that we're putting in there, what would need the most? Because we took out those flower beds, we have the corner flower areas, and we have some of the lilacs that we're putting in. So what would
Yeah.
need that irrigation?
So everything else is pretty drought tolerant, lilacs, grasses, the flower beds. So I think it's just gonna matter where the heads are. Like if the head's in the middle of where the grasses are going, it's gonna block watering out into the lawn. So I think that's just something to look at.
So I'll
I
have,
think like a good deep watering, maybe 2 or 3 times a week of the new plants with the
But
gator
who's
truck.
gonna do the good deep watering? And we have a commitment.
Mike's people, we have a
Good
connection.
Like
deep
John.
watering. So they understand it's not just a young college person who absolutely doesn't understand landscaping.
well, I can't tell you if it's someone who's gonna understand or
Yeah,
not,
but
but
they're gonna have to know that it's
it's gonna be their job duty.
yeah, it's not just, we'll wet the ground and move on.
What
It's
the
deep
kids-
watering. Because otherwise, what you would have is soaker hoses that run through that can be timed, and you can do appropriate watering amounts that each particular plant needs, and that's eventually where we need to be.
Jackie?
What is Mike's always got the kids are out there taking care of trash and stuff, and this is just gonna be part of their daily routine. The kids he's hired, I've been seeing over years, are super responsible, and Mike, with gentle suggestion, will be all over this.
Yeah.
He's so good at this.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's like the way they start their morning, because I'm out for a run, I see them out there, and I'll remind them, hit them good, guys.
Yeah.
Hit the flowers good.
There's
You know.
actually gauges that you can use and kind of stick into the dirt to
Yeah.
see if the water, if the soil is deep enough and has proper moisture. So they're inexpensive gauges. So it might be a good tool for them to have, the kids to have.
Well, if you could write all that up, some of those
I
things, get
can
that
do
email, and then
that.
because that's something we can, a minor can take care of the staff.
Okay,
the
now
staff
how
level.
are they going to get the water up to the flower basket?
That's something we'll have to figure out as staff,
Okay.
we'll have to figure
I
that
think
out.
that, don't they have a little
They do have a water.
tank on it?
There's
Yeah.
a watering tank and then
Yeah.
That thing that you
So
put
that's,
up.
that's
Yeah.
gonna do it.
Yeah.
That'll
so
absolutely do
We,
it.
we have the ability to do it. But
Okay.
I think, let's go forward with the hanging baskets. I mean, if anyone
Can I
wants,
ask you a question and a comment? Question is, did I hear you say a plastic container for these
The
baskets?
containers so Wilson, pickup of these flowers would be right around Memorial Day, right before Memorial Day. We can't get them any earlier because they are
Hold on a
too.
second. No, my question
Yeah.
was it a plastic? Did I hear you say
Right,
plastic?
and Wilson, these come in a heavy commercial plastic, yes.
Did you ask them, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but they're moss lined, and this is so out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah. Yeah,
Lot
the
more
basket,
expensive. I know they're better looking.
Wilson gives you what you need to have success with. He gives you the proper plant to hang. Again, many cities use his plant, you know.
I know
it's-
Plastic
I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
usually
Doug.
Pete
when
Moss.
I-
They retain
flowers,
water.
kitty.
And that's really,
Awesome too.
right, so the bottom moss,
Uh-huh.
it just would release more moisture and it would just dry out the plant quicker. So actually you just want, eventually you won't even see anything. In fact, actually when you pick up the plant at the end of the month, that flower is pretty already covering the,
Valerie, did they give you a price? Because when I spoke with Christian Ronaldo's, which supply most of our flowers, I think they had told me 30 for the hanging
I think it's,
baskets.
he said 35.
Okay, something like that, because I know the garden club and they get all, and we will.
Typically, we would
all
buy
those.
from Harbor Springs.
Somebody who's
Usually
local.
stay-
Yeah.
Usually stay within the city, but.
Oh, yeah, moss is 115 bucks.
Wait a second, what do you mean buy from Wilson, through Wilson?
Typically, we would buy from Ronaldo's just because it's a local business to
Okay,
support our
but
local.
again, okay, so this is a hybrid petunia, does
That's
not
what
need
they
to be
have,
dead,
that's exactly
that does
what,
not need to be deadheaded.
that's exactly what we're using downtown for
Okay.
the
Okay,
trees.
all right, as long as they have the non-deadheaded, because we can't be up there on a ladder deadheading petunias, yeah.
Hey, well, Valerie, if you can get that information to me, then I think
Okay.
as long as, you have another question, Jeff?
Oh, just a comment, who is it, Polish comes and does mine twice a week and they stay plenty watered and they get plenty big, so.
Well, again, they're not gonna be, I'm not quite sure where yours are, but this is out on the water, full sun, full wind. They get dried very quickly.
But we'll have our staff water them, that's a daily routine, so.
Thank you.
Well, these baskets can't come off in a blow, right?
They will be, there's hardware for
Yeah.
that.
That's the tether.
No,
Yeah,
that's the whole giving the
There is
hardware.
actually particular
A
hardware.
bunch of water, a bunch of flowers and boats and
You're
water.
gonna learn more about that on May 19th at the Global.
All right, well, thanks, Valerie. Any other questions about the landscape, just for the flowering, the plants, the plantings? Are we,
Thank you all, good job.
yes, I think you did a
I
great
have
job.
one quick question to Dana. I noticed that where we cut down the tree, there was discussion about planting a tree. Now there's a picnic table there, and he
I
put the
think
thinking
this is just
quickly.
for this summer, you know.
Yeah,
we don't
No,
know
I'm
yet.
not, it's
Yeah.
fine. I just wondered what the thoughts
Yeah.
were.
No, I like the thought of the tree.
Yeah, at this point, for this summer, next summer, we're not looking at a tree until we can finalize a long-term plan.
Good idea.
Victor, is this going out this week for bid then?
Yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna start calling people, Lucas and I, if you could also work with, because you and Lucas knows more about the companies, you know more about the plan. So if you guys, I'll have you guys coordinate on that. All right, great. Thanks Valerie and Dan for all your work on that one.
Yeah, good job.
Game area, next section.
Okay.
Scott, you're up. Look at
Yeah.
that. Like games people play and games people don't play.
Well, it's not exactly a casino. I was thinking about maybe we could, you know,
Slot machines?
that we could have a few slot machines there.
Well, we'd have give the tribe some competition.
No, I've listened to the Marina Commission meeting and I listened to the council meeting. And I really didn't update this to their comments, but you can move through it, so we'll keep going. So the kinds of feedback that I've gotten from both the committee members as well as community members who have come up to me is they really want to be sure that we have enough open space to play. And, throw a frisbee is what number one people say. And with what I'm proposing, I went out there and I paced it off, just in steps. And I think there's about 7,200 square feet of open space that people will be able to roam around. The other thing in the proposed game space that you'll see coming up, it really doesn't take up that much space. It's only about 500 to 550 square feet. Now, the biggest impact on that we can discuss is the cornhole. That's what takes by far the most space. And depending upon whether you want one cornhole game or what's pictured here is 4 of them, which definitely takes up a significant amount of space compared.
Can I say something really quick
Yes,
about that? And this might be this plan that we have. It was my assumption that we just laid out where the cornhole was, but that wasn't where it would be permanently. We could put the corn
Yeah.
Yeah,
boards
okay.
to the side, so
Yeah.
that way, if if no one's playing cornhole at that moment, there's no point to have them in the middle of the field, right? You
Right,
could put them to the
right.
side, but that was just my thought, so
Okay,
maybe they won't take up as much space as.
yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, so then the other feedback I got is people were asking about natural materials and natural colors rather than having more plastic, less plastic and more natural things. And, definitely, people feel that if we start simple, get feedback, that's a key thing, the feedback, the comments and things from the public. And then we can add games and we can be flexible. I mean, we can add them in the middle of the year if we want, or we can, wait until the following year if we want to do. So that's the summary. And then there's been the most comments for these support, the hopscotch with the blocks and the chalk. I mean, it's about $100 plus whatever it costs to cut the grass a little bit and put that in. That would be one, because, the discussion was about for younger kids, there had to be things for young kids to do. So the hopscotch looks good, although there is no age limit, Victor, on hopscotch. In case
I expect to see you out there.
well, don't you have to do it on one foot? One
There,
leg?
yes, there is
so
one foot involved.
You can't use a
Yes.
cane? Okay. Then also taking the same approach, if we do a tic-tac-toe with the same type of blocks, and then we get these stones. They don't have to be Petoskey stones, but they can be painted and cut. And I think we can get a stone carving donation for that. So that too is very inexpensive. The next game is the chess or the checker tables. There was discussion that we do have the city tables that are free. These are ones that are not the green metal ones. These, I take it, are the older picnic tables, which is the way to go. And, I know I've talked to one artist who's willing to do a painting. It doesn't have to be the painting like on the right, but that's just an option to show that you can have kind of a creative way. Now, I wonder, is that safe to have the rocks? Do kids start throwing rocks? Even my grandkids are too old for throwing things, so I don't really know what kids do these days.
Could they be plastic stuff? Like
Well,
plastic checkers?
Yeah, go to the next slide. This is the other option, is we could buy these real nice chess kits that fold up and everything's in it, and they are kept in the box, the game box. I mean, this one here is $29. We can order, 2 of these and you have a chess set if you want to go that way. I mean, it's flexible. We can still have that, that picnic table designated chess checkers area, but we don't have to paint it the same way. Next, please. And the same thing with checkers. It's available online. This is $30. Obviously these are from Amazon, and I've kind of looked at a lot of them, and these America's Best Choices seems to be ones of interest. And also that way, if they lose parts and we don't have enough, we can reorder and get them in 2 or 3 days.
And we also have a lot of games at our Kiwanis Parks. There's like a whole room just of games. So I can see what we have back there as far as any of this too.
So whatever, the committee feels is the best way to go with chess and checkers. But, I really feel that it could be important for, like I said, older people. It could, because it's so much in trend now to play chess after the Queen's Gambit is so popular. And, it could be a great activity. And if Bonnie gets a crew or a organization that wants to have 10 tables, we probably have the tables that we could put up for that night, or that day.
We have plenty of tables in the city that we can bring down to the park for any kind of tournament or anything
Right.
like that.
It wouldn't be at night because seniors, we go to bed early.
Almost time.
Yeah. No, I actually have a call later. All right, so then as far as the cornhole, there's all kinds of different options, but I kind of like this where it's this rustic American flag. I think it's kind of nice down there. It's so, everybody thinks of the waterfront in Harbor Springs about the 4th of July, and that's obviously the peak of the interest in the season. And these aren't so bright colors and and outstanding everything. And I kind of like this. It's $150 a set. and just get feedback and observation from the people. As far as the borrow box, I like on the right, I like this idea, this is from Wayfair, you know, this is furniture, but, and yes, I, you know, maybe we need to shellac it or something to make it a little more waterproof than an indoor game chest, but I think it's better looking than the one in Elk Rapids on the left. It's a plastic bin attached to a plastic chair, but that's just my opinion. Next. You know, I got some suggestions from members that we should have some things for younger people, you know, little tiny tykes. And, you know, they're good things. And these are more natural climbing types of things. They're good things, but, you know, the concern here is that the price point is a lot higher than anything else we're doing. And it may be right for the second year, or you guys may think it's that kind of direction is right for now. It's fine with me.
3 stumps for $3,000.
So you could donate some, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that price is.
Yeah.
I like where you started though, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Start off with, I like all of your ideas are wonderful. But if you get too much stuff in there, I don't want it to look like a playground junkyard.
Yeah.
And I worry about too many things and people won't put it away, because it looks great like it is.
It's just like, I mean, if we start with not a lot of games,
Not a
you
lot.
know, even from the city, we don't need a lot of games. And we get feedback that people are saying, we need more games. Well, then we can, you know.
Or they might not even be used and, you
Yeah.
know, because.
Or they may become a problem when they go to mow the lawn, that there's, you know, chess pieces all over the park. I don't know what's gonna happen.
And I don't know the cost of a dock box, but it'd be nice just to, since we're right there in the harbor with the boats and their dock boxes, it might be nice just to continue that and have a simple dock box.
Great idea.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
I like that idea.
That's what, it's good water, it's
That's
very
a good
waterproof.
idea.
You're talking about like at the end of people's boats.
The white
Yeah.
ones, yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, the white ones are very waterproof.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, that's a
Deal,
good idea.
deal.
So
Okay.
I really would like to vote for that oversized Jenga game. I think that's super fun for all ages.
What game?
That's that little one where you stab the things, so you
Oh,
have to pull them out.
Yeah, as long as they
Jenga.
pick it up. Yeah,
Well, and that's
I
part
don't
of
like
the,
clutter, but that's a great game.
Yeah, I think if we do you know, a decent size dock box, I think that would fit in well with the chess pieces and the checker pieces.
part of the cleanup is gonna also be on, you know, it's gonna be self-responsibility, but it's also gonna be on the Marina, the
Like
extra
Mike's
staff
gonna be
member.
watering flowers and he has to do this.
Well, that's why he's getting an extra person.
There we go.
Who wants to pick up?
One thing that I would suggest is, like, I'm looking at that Jenga thing has its own case. If we have a case for each thing, so I don't get all jumbled together.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be
And,
nice.
and we could have a sign made, a nice sign made that says, you know, please replace whatever. There's some nice wording I've seen on
Just say,
signs.
pick up your crap.
Violators will be fined.
Exactly.
You don't put it away, $500
There's a
fine.
camera on you, we will find you.
Yeah, smile.
Big brother.
Smile, you're on
I
camera.
had one more thought I'd like to share about the cornhole, is we're huge cornhole people at our house, and it's hard to have a tournament with one set of cornhole.
Yeah.
No,
need
we
to
talked
do
about a
this,
couple. We talked about a
Okay,
couple.
okay.
Yeah, this is just.
And then the other thing is we make our own. They're so easy. Like, we've got the drill to make the right size hole. We just have to buy the bean bags. And then they could be painted up any way we want.
With outdoor paint.
But
We could get an artist involved that can do the American flag. You know some, Scott?
You guys can
Did you
try. I don't
volunteer to
have-
make
I'm sure we could get an artist to get
Well,
involved.
yeah, sure. So we can buy lumber
I'm
and.
pretty sure I don't have time to paint a cornhole. I'm okay
You
with
might be.
Well, let's first talk about the game. Let's get through this and
Paint
then.
the hole, that's left, you know, vacant.
I
It's
think
the
the
part
one thing
around.
though with the cornholes is we should make sure they're heavy enough that they don't walk
They
off
do.
or something like that.
No,
Yes.
there's
You just go to
definitely,
the
you're right,
next
there's
slide.
definitely
Leave.
different commercial.
Just gonna read this
something in
message
the
from
backyard.
Okay.
Sharon. Hold on, let me get it out. Quick comment, the painted picnic table with the checkers is more inviting than going to a borrow box. So just a note from Sharon on that.
Okay.
And I'll go on to the next slide now.
Yep.
So let's get through this presentation and then we can decide on which ones we want to go with. And then staff will take care of the,
Yeah,
Yeah,
then this will go
the
back, yeah.
details.
Yeah, we don't have, I don't think we're gonna get to these kinds of things, but there's been interest in this. And I know they're very effective for young people. I see it in Birmingham. They
Yeah.
run in circles and there's nothing to it. But the main thing here that I want to point out is, I read about cornhole, and a cornhole court shall be a level rectangle area 8 to 10 feet wide with a minimum of 40 to 45 feet long. So, if you're gonna have, I don't know how I'm not an expert about cornhole. I know corn on the cob. So, you have to consider if you want to give 400 square feet, times 4 to 1,600, that's all. Will it take up too much of the running area? And then what happens if you're thinking that you keep them to the side and then they set them up when they want?
That's what I was thinking, just
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
different users at different times, and it's gonna be kind of a first come, first service, you
Well,
came here to play.
It depends, as long as,
But we'll have to, see. It's gonna be a trial basis. We're gonna see how
are they
people
gonna
use the
end up in
practice.
places where,
you know.
the Harbor Commission is saying, you're interfering with our boaters, or, that would be my concern.
Well, you could put one cornhole on one boat, another one on another boat, and
There you go, I like that.
Brilliant.
I just want to be on one of those boats.
You don't wanna own one, you just wanna
Oh,
be on it.
no, I don't want to own one.
Well, we can probably figure out what we want and
yeah,
take
Yeah.
a general consensus on,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
On games, et cetera.
and
I
I,
think cornhole would be game number one.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, that works, it's simple.
And I think we need at least 2.
I agree. I
I think
agree.
hopscotch and tic-tac-toe are good ideas too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopscotch is absolutely a great idea. The tic-tac-toe is a good
The
idea.
only difficulty I see with that though is
Mhm.
those stones have to be set into the grass and leveled and all that, so then they're gonna have a permanent spot. So we just wanna make sure that's not gonna interfere with like the tent getting set up for whatever and.
Well, we just have to have a good location. I think we just need a good determine a good location. But I think there's definitely, the kids are gonna get drawn right to that.
They could probably go
Immediately.
close to the, weren't there where these benches are?
yeah, right here, this
In
by the
the
game.
lawn area, because, I would
There's
think
plenty of
that,
space. They're not gonna take up a lot of
parents,
space.
grandparents are sit there while their kids jump
We can
around.
determine that. We'll just,
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
we
let's
can
just figure
determine-
out the games that we wanna go
Yeah.
with, and then,
I would suggest getting like bean bags for the tic-tac-toe that because kids like to throw, could throw an X, I mean, just instead of having rocks to throw, or not to throw, but have out there, like X and O. bean
Yeah,
bags.
I agree.
X and
That's
O
fine.
bean bags.
I
That's fine.
absolutely agree with
Great
that.
idea.
That's a good idea.
Victor,
Yeah.
just a thought, we could add the installation of the tic-tac-toe and hopscotch squares. We could add that on to the landscaper, bid,
Yeah, that would be great.
just have them do it.
It'd be like laying bluestone.
yeah, we'll have to figure out a spot and talk to Lucas, see what spot, where there's, that's possible, yeah, I just
Right,
want it to be decided.
and they take into consideration the tent, that's the most important, yeah.
I think the question really here is, you want a table with chess painted onto it, or a separate boards that Scott was talking about?
I think chess is a waste only because you're gonna lose the king and the pawn, and that game's over.
That's a good point.
On the checkers, though, you can have as many red ones and white ones as you want, and if you
Yeah.
lose a couple, so you replace them. It's pretty easy, but it's a great game, and to have it painted sure makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think
I like that
painted
too.
is good because it's there. It's always there.
It tells people that it's available. Like, if you look at just a picnic table and you don't, and you walk there and you've never been here, you don't know whether there's a checkers or chessboard to
Yeah,
get
you
out.
could just bring your food there and eat your
Right,
food.
except I do have to say the checkers is great and I definitely agree on checkers, but I definitely also agree on a chess because I have 7 grandchildren and they are all majorly into chess. And this is across the board. Just the pieces and have them be large enough,
Right,
pieces that, they can go in a sack and go into the dock box.
Everybody's seen the chess set over at Bay Harbor, right?
yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And,
That's-
any thought that would be better than, not, or maybe in addition to? Because those parts may end up in the bottom of the lake, but they won't be stone.
Right. But I do think it's the number of square feet that takes up, that the chess board.
Have you seen the one?
It's cool, but, and then I also,
Yes,
I think it's
life size.
That's another big.
not to do the same thing as Bay Harbor would be probably good too.
How big is this dock box we're talking about?
That's a great question.
Is it as big as this table?
No,
No.
no,
No,
dock boxes
it's
are
a-
small.
It's a pretty good,
I'd say they're about the size of one of these tables.
but the space, the,
Maybe
Ground
not
space.
Say
so
about
wider.
like this table.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd say
it's
more.
more like Jeff's table, I
Yeah,
think.
I think more Jeff's table.
So my question is, would the cornhole boards wouldn't be able to fit in them?
Not
We'd
the
have to have
boards.
those,
Right.
we have to have
I
secure
think we
those
should leave
probably in the
those out
building.
because I think it'd be
Victor, they
fun.
probably could. You can put lawn chairs in a dock box.
That Sharon?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
it's just-
sorry, Sharon.
Okay.
I thought it was an angel.
I wish. We
Um,
could use an angel.
So I guess, maybe the boards themselves, but with everything else that we have going in there, that was my
But-
question.
I like the idea if we put the boards where we want them and hopefully they don't get moved, like
Okay.
into the middle of eats or into the middle of the shade sales or whatever. We don't know.
Well, I'm just worried about thievery in general for something
Yeah.
like that. At the middle, if we leave them out in the middle of the night, I feel like it's something that the staff would need to put away eventually. Because,
Could they also be launched in a storm?
I don't think so.
What,
The heavy wooden ones, probably not.
They're pretty low profile.
The inexpensive ones,
Yeah, they're pretty heavy.
yeah.
If they're wood, they're not
Right.
going anywhere.
but I guess we'll take care of that staff. I guess I was just asking about,
Well, we're doing the cornhole, but what are we doing about the chess and the checkers?
Well, we're gonna
Are we
go
doing a
with-
table or are we doing?
we'll do a painted table, but we'll still need to get
Pieces.
pieces.
And you asked for larger
Large.
chess pieces.
And
I
you
mean,
can
not
get
as large
large
as the ones at Bay Harbor, which are.
And maybe we can also have a separate, we can have a painted table, but also have a separate, chess and checkers board that if kids want to take to another table,
Yeah,
that's, and they can just play, we don't-
yeah, this is
Yeah,
showing,
yeah.
Spring for next.
2 game boxes, so, I don't know, how it ends up.
I like the picture Scott showed too that had the 2 chessboards and the long picnic table. What do you think of that?
Yeah, you can paint it twice,
Mhm.
So if you've got like 4 guys that are going for coffee.
right?
Like,
It's nice.
Great idea.
Now, if we had the chess pieces large and the king was carved to look like you, would you be all right?
Absolutely
Okay.
not.
Oh, no?
Nobody else would either.
So I think were we gonna go with the tumbling timbers Jenga? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I think that's very fun for the.
At $60, just one set of those.
Yeah, yes.
I wrote that down, okay?
And we'll stay away for this for now.
For now,
I think that's probably enough for
I
a first
think
No,
so.
I
phase.
absolutely agree.
I think that's
Okay.
enough.
And I
Don't you think so?
might go to the Kiwanis building, and if there's any like small little toys that kids like, like a toy truck or something that we have a lot still in there.
Lawn darts, remember
Yeah.
that's a good old
Oh,
'70s,
yeah.
with those.
You're trying to
Yeah,
sell
but-
that business
yeah,
over
we-
there.
No,
Yeah.
that would be.
Beer pong table.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm sorry,
That
wait,
would
what'd you
be
say?
enough.
Yeah, I know, I heard you.
Those are
Oops,
darts.
I raised my hand.
Darts.
What about it's maybe a bad idea, but just a croquet set that somebody can pull out and
That's good.
go around.
That is a fun game.
That's a great idea.
I'm all
I
for
feel
that.
like that would be tougher than like bocce because that has fewer
Right.
pieces.
Do we put a couple frisbees in
Well, I don't
there?
want to do bocce because people.
Oh,
don't
I-
sure,
really
yeah.
fun,
Yeah.
but-
But that's,
Very basic,
but there's,
Yeah.
simple.
but that's
Tennis
something just,
ball, softball.
the
How
only thing
about
about,
ladder
well,
ball?
Metal
no, the only
darts.
thing about that is that if somebody sets up the game, do
Right.
they expect to have, they start putting in the things and all of a sudden they've got a pretty good space taken up of their
Right.
game. And then,
Well, that's the tough luck. If you go to a lot of other cities that are like larger cities, like kind of a first come,
yep,
first use service,
that's true.
there's a game of frisbee going on.
Yep.
You can technically set up your picnic blanket where they're playing frisbee. I mean, it's a public space, but you're gonna get trampled on. So I mean,
That's
it's,
true.
People will be mellow.
people will be
But
all
I
right.
still go back
I
to,
think you're
people
right.
are saying we want enough open space.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
we can always add games every 2
Yeah.
weeks or whatever
Okay,
you want to do.
so I think we're good. Scott,
This
can
is
you
a good-
finalize any of
this
these
is really
things
a
and
good
give me
first
what you
phase,
think
really.
Yes.
from this here and send them to me, and then I'll be able to go on that. All right, I think we need to move on unless there's any
Just
other
one more
comments about
question.
games.
Do we have nice looking trash cans and recycling for the park? Or do we need to order some?
they're, what the ones that are there don't look nice right now?
Oh, I don't know, I didn't even know if there were any there right now.
I'm sure
I
there
don't
is, there's,
remember.
I'm
I
sure
think
there-
there's
never noticed them
one, there's
that
a
way.
doggy, there's a doggy, and then there's the trash.
I'll
can.
just ask Lucas,
Yeah.
they have.
I think, in the summer, they put out
Yeah, no, I
extra
didn't.
They do.
Well,
Right.
We used to get
containers
more
that
in
might.
the
And
summer.
we
Yeah.
probably want to change where the doggy thing is too. The dog, it's center, it's dead center, up front, so like where one of the benches would be actually. That's where the doggy thing is right now.
Victor,
You
just
know,
one
the
more.
doggy and then the trash
The
can.
poopy bag.
All right, we'll get on that. We need to, I took note of that. We should move on with this agenda item. About benches and tables, Dana had mentioned reducing some tables, sorry, for
To stay in budget.
stay in budget and also create a little more open space. I know, John, you had kind of want to talk about density. We did take away some tables. Is that still something?
But the plan as presented, I still believe, dominates the park. And my suggestion is that if you've got the tables, the positioning of them could be controlled by the staff, I assume.
Mhm.
And the number could be controlled initially by the staff. And so my suggestion is, based on my read of the survey, most of the people want a room for kids, with tables and so on being secondary. So I would revise the plan or suggest to council there are competing views on how we use that center space. And I agree with Scott that we ought to be opening it up as much as we can. Consistent with still providing a place for people to sit and eat if they want.
The one suggestion I would have to that then is, could we let's just move the tables that exist right there, if you see on the map, just push them more toward the water. Yeah, move them. I mean, like, move them 30 feet that way. That way you see, that's the way this space right here turns to open space and then the tables are right here. It frees up some more space while keeping the same amount of tables.
Can I add one thing that just from what I'm hearing from downtowns and from other downtowns, I mean, we're expecting a lot of people to come up here. I mean, it was really busy last summer, even in the midst of COVID, and I think that everybody's expecting it's going to be as busy and having a lot of demand for takeout eating and that, or outdoor picnic eating. So I do think that, keeping a good chunk for tables for people to eat outdoors, since it's become more of a norm. And then just with the amount of people that just what we're at least sort of projecting to be up here, I think we have a lot. I think, we can always add more or take away as the summer progresses.
This is actually fewer tables than last year.
Yeah, this is 15, last year we had 18 or something, 19. So this is 15
Really?
tables. And so if we just push them this way, then you open up space, right? You open up more space here.
And
That's just a
again,
thought.
you're looking at this diagram, but if you actually go to the park
Fair.
and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what is it, 6 or 7?
This is not to scale, these
Se-
tables.
Right.
No, these tables are big, yeah.
Right, the 7 tables disappears. If you go over to the park and you stood in front of 7 tables, they would disappear. That's how much space they barely take up. It's just looking at this, it looks like it's
I
taking up
agree.
space.
I hear what you're saying, but when I noticed last year, I didn't really even notice the tables. And my issue, I like on Saturday to get a Gurney's and go down and eat, and if there's not a table there, I'm bummed out,
Yes.
so, they will
Exactly.
be used and now the culture is eating outside. But I do think we can move them a little closer to the water, but I don't want to take any tables away.
Is this something that, Victor, you're gonna be looking at and trying to judge how it's being used and
Yep.
adjust it accordingly?
Yes, and my goal is to have a new parks director on by July, hopefully, before July. So that way then we can have someone there that's actually monitoring it on a daily basis, as well as the Marina crew to monitor it and see how it's going on. So I'm gonna have my staff give me feedback, as well as the public feedback options. So that way we can see it. And then Lucas, obviously, when they clean up or like mow, can tell you people have shifted the tables or what is happening and just get a general idea. So that's something that I think we want to monitor.
Yeah.
So yes. we will.
People moved them a lot last year,
Yeah.
didn't they? I was gonna say, the street music, I swear, every time I was at the park, they were all in different places, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
People put them where they wanted them, needed them,
What we want to
whatever.
just avoid is them bringing them to the game like this. We want to try to keep them in a,
Yes,
but you know, you can't control that. If people are gonna
No.
bring a table there, then we'll have to have the staff move it back.
But the
but-
ones with the umbrellas are,
or
that'll
harder to
make
move.
it
Hopefully
far
they're
more
not gonna
difficult for that to
move.
happen.
Yeah,
Yes.
picnic tables,
Agreed.
again, they're like welcome signs. When you drive up and there's a picnic table and you hope there's one open.
That is true, but you know, John makes
Hope
a
there's a
good,
picnic table
John makes a
open.
good point with our survey. There was competing in, there's a lot of need for open space and playing, and then there was a lot of desire for eating. So we
Yeah.
gotta, if this is gonna be a central part, quote unquote, we need to have both of those uses available. And I think for now, as we talked about, potentially moving the tables closer to water
Sure.
and then monitoring it to see how it's used and taking away a table, adding a table if necessary based on events going on or what's going on. So I think it's gonna be a hit or miss, try this
It's a
year.
very fluid thing.
Yeah.
It's always moving.
So,
The only other issue I see with regard to the umbrellas,
Mhm.
how are they gonna be fixed? Because in a storm, they're gonna take off.
well, that's,
They're gonna do damage.
that's something the Harbor Commission did mention. And so the idea is, do we close them or do we take them and store them somewhere and then put them back out in the morning?
when you
There's only-
hang them
there's only
underneath
5 of
as
them.
well as in the ground.
Well, there's only 5 of them, so it's not gonna be a huge task for the staff to just put them down. If we need to store them inside the Harbor Master building and in the morning someone comes and takes them out, that's,
Typically, they have a weighted base that they're locked
Right.
into. So
Yeah,
just unless, I mean, I suppose it could happen if they were left open
I had a weighted base on mine on my patio and
and it took out.
There has to be a clip, something
Yeah.
put underneath
Underneath the table
To
right
attach
here,
it to the
So
table
those clip
itself.
tables
as well as the
top.
weighted base.
we'll work, we'll.
They actually do have the hardware for that.
Yeah, we'll get either the umbrellas that are gonna stay secure in a wind or, well, they might break, that's either problem. I mean, the wind can get strong there, but if they're if they're sturdy umbrellas,
These are commercial.
Actually,
commercial grade.
commercial, I
Yeah,
mean,
they should be
that, a
fine.
wind can just, I know, I lived in Florida for 7 years. I was the president of our recreation center, which was very large. And there is hardware to hold them down.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, this was oceanfront.
Yeah.
So there is proper hardware. You just have to
Mhm.
buy it and make sure you're using
And
it.
use it.
Yeah.
And use it.
Can I ask a question? This is kind of the subject, but the premier spot, I think a lot of people is actually east of all this. Underneath that big tree, kind of in front of Mossberg's buildings.
oh, down here.
Is there room to add one more table there?
In Marina.
There
in the
is
Marina.
at least,
There's a bench there, right?
there is a bench
Um,
there. I think there's a
couple
table.
Tables, right by that fountain.
There's 2 tables.
Or like in child park.
There's 2,
Yeah.
there's 2
Yeah, I
tables.
thought there were a couple tables, 'cause that's the prime spot for lunch. That's
That
where
I'm
is
I-
asking if there's room for
really
one more
prime
table.
There could be.
It's worth looking at.
We could get one more in, I wouldn't have a problem with
Yeah,
that.
but
There are
of course,
too
this
many
is,
on,
this
uh,
is
this
not,
side that goes
this is
taking
not.
over.
I have one comment that
Not right at the moment.
Okay, yeah.
Hopefully, yeah, might.
Yes, Scott.
I found it a little bit surprising that the Harbor Commission made the comment in their prepared notes at the city council that boaters don't really use Marina Park.
Yeah.
And I think our feedback hopefully will find that that's not true.
I've heard conflicting,
Boaters,
yeah, even at the Harbor Commission itself, one member said they don't use it much, another member said, well, yeah, they do. And, you know,
That
when
was
we
surprising.
set up for the 4th of July Beer Fest in 2019, one of the biggest criticisms we received was like, we took up the space for 4th of July where the boaters like to set up a blanket, a picnic
Yeah.
or something like that. So there's different boaters, I'm sure, use it to different, some just come and go straight to the restaurants. I'm sure some come and like to hang out in the green
Right.
space. So
Okay.
there's like everyone else. Some people uptown use it, the park, and some just never go there. So I think it's same across. But yeah, it's a good observation.
Let's talk about a feedback mechanism.
Yeah.
Bonnie and I were talking about this a little bit, like, so we can, maybe at the next meeting, talk about. that.
Yeah,
let's do this feedback mechanism next meeting because
it'll be a questionnaire.
Yeah.
Linked to a QR code and a URL so people can go either direction.
any other comments on here about the density benches and tables? Are we okay with everything that's proposed as right now and pushing those tables north, south, and west, I guess, a little bit, create a more, all right, that sounds good. So then let's talk about, now we're talking about tables, really quickly, Harbor Eats area.
Mhm.
I guess the real goal is everyone okay with moving those to the grass? And then Margot following up with businesses to see if they actually wanna set up, and then we can go to council for some sort of administrative ordinance that says you're allowed to have X amount of,
So
Food
where
vendors,
would,
yeah.
where would the trucks be?
there would be no truck.
It won't be a
No
truck.
Tables or
Okay.
cart.
It'd be like a cart or a
Non-motorized.
tent or whatever,
Understand.
yeah, that they would set up.
Like farmer's market,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, non-motorized, and I have sent a message to all of the restaurants downtown. I've not expanded any further. I've heard back from 2, that said for sure that they would be interested. So we can see whether we want to expand outside of the downtown to other restaurants, or if we just leave it at that, or, a couple of people have told me they just don't have staff to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a-
possibly staff the,
Is
you know,
there-
outside of the restaurant.
do they have the ability to have electrical if they need electrical, or is the assumption that that's not gonna be the case? How,
We could
How are they
find out
gonna do
from
what they're
Lucas,
gonna
like
do?
That transformer's there. I don't know if there's
There's-
an electrical
yeah.
outlet.
There's a
Right there.
transfer.
well, I mean, there's electrical in the gazebo itself, I can tell you that.
So yeah,
I know there is, but-
right here by the there's electrical there.
Okay, so
The
they
other side
do
is right
have that,
here,
that capability.
Yep.
Because I don't,
I mean, but that'll be something that, they would have to talk about, like, if they could talk
Right.
to Lucas and say, hey, this is what we need, and Lucas is gonna say, you know what, yes, we can, or no, we can't
okay,
provide you with that there, and
because
that's,
that's a,
so whether it's in the parking space or on the grass, I mean, this is,
oh, absolutely.
yeah,
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't
either way.
matter, as long as, so that's something we'll follow up with Lucas and Dan from the electric department.
And do we want to talk about like June, July, and August as possibilities for when we might have a schedule set up for a Friday and Saturday night of 3 months?
Well, that's the time.
That was the
we gave
goal,
them. We
was
gave them from, what is it?
Memorial Day
June 15th
weekend or June 15th, yeah, to
To
August 15th,
I
yeah.
think what we gave them as.
And that's when the downtown restaurants they're always over capacity
Right.
anyway, so that's when, their business wouldn't be harmed by having.
And outside,
Exactly.
right.
So
So,
that's a little over a month away.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll go to council on May 17th to give an administrative ordinance on Harbor Eats area, and that's
And
it.
one more thing, Victor, that Margot and I were talking about is whether they can sell like beer and wine from these tents.
I'll have to talk to Jim Raymer about that. I don't know, based on our, we've allowed alcohol to be consumed there with but I don't know about selling. That's a different, I don't know if that's a good idea anyway, but.
I know Jody is planning, she's doing a bar on the inside of their property, but with the sole purpose of to go drink.
A takeaway cart,
That is really.
Yeah. a takeaway beverage cart. Yeah, it's pretty
I
cool.
think there's so many people that are used to ordering to go now from the restaurants that they're gonna take their to go and go to the park and eat,
Right.
from the,
Yeah.
The last thing we
Local
want is to
restaurant.
turn it into a drunk fat fest
Right.
at Marina Park.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that's a
It
good
won't
idea.
happen here. It just doesn't lend itself to that,
Yeah.
it's not.
So, all right, so I think by consensus, that's okay. Our next meeting, May 19th, I think that's gonna get us, I have on the agenda feedback mechanism, any kind of finishing touches. Hopefully we will have a landscaper by then, we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
And we're working on the grass right now, so
Yeah.
then after that, I think, starting in June, we could probably meet once a month, or as needed.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully by July, like I said, we'll have a parks director that will replace me. Yeah.
When do we start looking at the long-term plan?
This summer, after we get so I mean, June or
Yeah.
July, probably July, I would say.
And as we start getting feedback,
Yeah,
right? I mean, I think that's really important, that we need to hear what people like, don't like, what they, what is the direction?
okay, so is there any comments from anyone, Sharon or Karen? You guys are good, are you still on? It's just Sharon.
Lon, no, thank you, everybody.
Okay, all right, thanks, Sharon. I
Great
guess
work.
then we are done.
Victor?
We are done.
See you the 19th.
See you on the
Thank
19th.
you.